Today is the 31st of December 2025, the last day of 2025, a very bittersweet day in my life. It started with a bang, had a bit of ups and downs, and we'll see how 2026 pans out. So, as per tradition, this is my effort to talk to my family members back home in India. And again, I am here in the UK of my own accord, having paid my own bills with zero subsidies from any government entity, and I'm here to work as a doctor. Today is the 31st of December 2025, New Year's Eve. People have great hopes from 2026. I can't say in the beginning of 2025 I did not foresee myself from being in the UK. I really did. In fact, even when I went to Mahakumbh, I felt that, I don't know, I felt the sense that my trip to the UK, my one way trip to the UK, was around the corner. And it is. Surprisingly, none of my family members have joined, which is sad to say the least. But okay, they must be busy. So I'll just tell you what happened yesterday. It was Monday. It's been 2 weeks that I'm in the UK. I came here on Wednesday before last. So that's today is Tuesday, so it completes 2 weeks in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Yesterday I went to the hospital. I left here at 7 a.m. I walked slowly. I think I reached close to 8 a.m. because I was walking slowly. I realized there are shorter routes to the hospital which I can take if I am feeling a little out of breath or unwilling to take long routes. Um, but then I went to the ward and I was able to enter the ward because I now have the iCard which is on the shelf there. And I was able to access the computer, but I had some technical difficulties which I hope will be sorted by now. Most people are on leave, so it is a bit tricky. One person has joined. Please identify yourself if you want to. Okay, has disappeared also. All right. Thank you for. The reason I'm wearing these dark glasses indoors is because it um, looks. It prevents me from having to look at the camera all the time. So I can just look at myself, and you might think I'll be looking at the camera. Maintaining eye contact is not my strongest suit. So that is the only reason I'm wearing them. All in all, yesterday was not very eventful, which is a good thing. I don't like eventful days. I like it to be boring. I met one of the colleagues I knew about yesterday for the first time. I knew about him, but I met him for the first time yesterday, and he couldn't have been nicer. And he invited me to sit in the clinic today, which is something I've realized is part of my job description as a doctor. Somehow, in the last few days, I've done everything apart from working as a doctor, which is understandable because there is a system in place which I have to abide by, and I will. Also, I got the news. I think I mentioned this yesterday but I heard the voicemail yesterday explicitly mentioned that my occupational health checkup has been normal. So that is reassuring. Hello, I can see that three people have joined the live stream. You can say hello and you can confirm if my audio is clear or not. All of you have disappeared, which is sad. I don't know. Maybe the message that I sent half an hour back on the group was it 15 minutes back? I'm not sure. Or the fact that yesterday I mentioned I will be live at 6 a.m. UK time, it should be 11:30 India time, was not taken seriously, or maybe these live streams are not as important as I think they are, which is okay. That is also fine. So that was it. I returned to Redgate after the work yesterday, and I met one of the owners of this property, and again, she could not be nicer. And she said she doesn't see enough of me, which is true. I keep to myself, but I have bought something quite interesting, which is also the thumbnail of today's video, which is this. This is liquid detergent. Now, as people who know me well know, I have extreme expertise, a lot of knowledge in using liquid detergent. So I will start using it as soon as I get time, because there are a lot of items on my list that require to be washed, and I will utilize this purchase to do that. I also got an 8 pack of Mark III shaving blades, which really means that uh, I'm set for the duration of my contract here. The existing contract, which I have not yet signed, because again, most people are on leave. I'm surprised that there are no messages today, no chats. Okay, I don't understand why. That's all right. So when you see this live stream later, then I hope you'll be able to understand how my Monday went. Today's plan is to leave for work immediately after the live stream, and yeah, just go with the flow, follow the directions of my colleagues, and make myself useful and use my time productively. I'll obviously check the forecast, and I feel that if the forecast is favorable, then I will probably not carry the umbrella with me. I've also understood. Okay, let's talk now that my parents or my family members are not in this live stream. Let's increase the scope of the discussion. Yesterday, I watched a podcast featuring Hassan Minhaj. Hassan Minhaj? Hassan Minhaj? I don't know how it is pronounced. I'm not going to lose sleep over that. And Cornell, the guy from the Eternals movie, I want to say. Certainly the guy from Silicon Valley, a show I really liked. And they had a pretty interesting conversation. Two people who are from the subcontinent. Hassan obviously is an American citizen, and Kunal also has become an American citizen. Hassan was Hassan, I'm not sure. Again, apologies for getting the name wrong. My name people get wrong all the time, but obviously that doesn't give me excuse to get his name wrong. He's a celebrity. Anyway, so Hassan or Hassan, he was born in the US, so he has American citizenship, and Kunal migrated from Pakistan and he now is an American citizen. And they talk about their family, who I believe are living in the United States of America. Hassan, despite being an American citizen, uh, visits India twice a year, although he doesn't have any direct family here, is what I understood. But he visits India twice a year. He visits Delhi, Lucknow, Indore, Gujarat, which Mumbai, which for him I believe is a big chunk of India, but I understand it barely scratches the surface. Um, the interesting thing was they identify more with culture in the subcontinent than they do with the culture in the United States of America, which is strange for people who have lived almost their entire lives. In Hassan's case, probably his entire life. In Kunail's case, 30 years in the United States of America, but they still identify more with the culture in the subcontinent, which is interesting. So it was nice watching it as someone who has also left his home country and living in the Western Hemisphere. So that was an interesting watch. Um, I don't know. I got a message from a person who said that if I were in your position, I would explore all parts of a new place. To which I said, I don't think you would. I didn't say that, but that's what I felt. Because I think most people explore when they feel secure. And I do feel secure here. I'm not saying it's dangerous, but it's just that there are elements of security that are lacking here. And I'm limited by the route that bus number 11 can cover. So I really don't go anywhere where, where bus number 11 doesn't take me because I'm very aware of the need to not get into a situation where I'm spending too much money. Bus number 11 is free. I really don't understand today's chat. Nobody, one person has joined, and please feel free to comment. I see. Anyway, so it was nice to stream to no viewers, something I'm quite used to. The original first, I think, 60 odd live streams were streamed to no concurrent viewers. I'm not unaware of this phenomenon. It's okay. So I'll step out. Happy New Year to everyone. May 2026 fulfill all your wishes. And if I were to look back at 2025, some of the highlights would be um, going to Mahakumbh with almost my entire family and my boss from my previous workplace. Um, it was really an incredible journey. It led to me losing a lot of subscribers who probably thought I was not going to upload pictures of videos of Mahakumbh, but it was definitely a very memorable trip. Another highlight of 2025 has to be meeting my Marathi cousin after a long time. I think 3 years. I think I met him last when uh, it was his wedding, and I met him now. We met him in Asansol for after almost I think at least 10 years, maybe more than that. I don't really recall meeting him in Asansol. Maybe it was when I was in school when he had come for a visit. Um, that's probably it. So those were the two highlights. Obviously, my job interviews in June and September were incredibly important events. The possibility of my boss from my previous workplace resigning was something which did hang as a dark shadow over my mind for almost 3 months, because that would have changed many things about my professional life, which thankfully did not happen. I have this theory that with every 6 months in a calendar year, from January to end of June, from July to end of December, something incredibly important happens, which is very um, important, which is very significant, and it brings about significant change in our lives or in our thinking or both. So I have to say the most significant event of the first half of 2025 was the possibility of my boss resigning, because it really recalibrated my mind in ways that I didn't think was possible, in ways I didn't think were possible. And in the second half, obviously, the most important event was my moving to the United Kingdom from India. I Many other events happened which were also important. I um, got an interview call from what was originally my dream job of working in the West Bengal Medical Education Service. I feel flattered that I've been called for the interview, but the interview is on 2nd January and I'll be in the UK. So I requested them to organize an online interview for me, but probably that will not happen. But when I was growing up, all my heroes were working in the West Bengal Medical Education Services. As an MBBS student, I looked up to them and I wanted to be one of them. And this was the first time I've been selected for an interview, but as fate would have it, I'm already in the United Kingdom. But I'll make no bones about it. Ever since I passed MRCS, I wanted to work in the NHS, and I honestly believe the NHS is the best healthcare system in the world, and the fact that I am a part of it in a small way as an employee in one of the trusts under the broad umbrella of the National Health Service is an incredible feeling, and I feel the single biggest achievement of my professional life, maybe my entire life. So I'm extremely grateful for the job I have. And again, there are three viewers I can see. If you feel so inclined, do comment. I don't know why I can't see any comments today. Probably you are commenting, but I can't see them. But if you can hear me and see me properly, please type in a comment and send it so that I can understand what's happening. So far, I have not seen a single comment in the live stream today. Maybe it's because of I don't know. Maybe because of the strict content moderation settings. I don't know. But if you feel like commenting, chatting, do send in a message. What was I saying before this? I lost my train of thought. Anyway, it's known to happen. So yeah, those were the events of 2025, which were quite significant in my mind. There are six concurrent viewers. Again, if you feel like commenting, do comment. I'll be happy to know who you are. I'll reply to any questions you might be having. So that's about it. It's been about 20 minutes, and I think I've said all I had to say. I don't have any big plans for today. I'll just be indoors and mind my own business. I do intend to use this, you know, this that I purchased yesterday, and as you know, I'm very proficient with this, so I'll use it the right way. And yeah, I'll head out to work after this, and I'll walk slowly. And once I'm where I'm supposed to be, I'll try to make myself useful. What other significant thing happened? I was officially an examiner in the West Bengal University of Health Sciences professional exams, which was a remarkable feeling to be on the other side of some of the most traumatic events of my life. I believe each there was something which one of my friends said, which I remember till date, is that we don't forget any of the professional exams, and I certainly remember all of my professional exams. I still know which clinical cases I had to encounter in medicine, in general surgery, or my experience in ENT, ophthalmology, PSM, obsgyne, pediatrics, pathology, microbiology, pharmacology, forensic medicine. I remember not being able to answer what the word stature means during one of the forensic medicine vivas. I didn't know the meaning of the word stature. I thought it meant the social standing of a person in society, but stature literally means height. That's what the examiner was asking, but I didn't know that. I went for the metaphorical meaning instead of the literal meaning, which is reflective of how little I studied during my MBBS days. I remember obviously first professional exam, which was perhaps the most scary exam I've ever appeared in till date. Maybe FRCS can be more scary. It's always the next exam is always the most scary exam. I'm not scared of MRCS now because I've passed. But yes, if you ask me to appear in first professional exam again, I'll be very scared. As I would be if you asked me to appear in the 12th standard exam again. I'll be very scared then also. So, in 2026, my hope would be that my parents do visit at least once, and taking a leaf out of Hassan Minhaj's book, I'll definitely try to visit India as often as I can, as often as it is possible. And I do want to reflect on something that was going through my mind, and it's a little heavy, and maybe you'll indulge me. But since nobody is saying anything in the chat, I might as well get this off my chest. When I was very young, when I was a very young boy, I think I was extremely close to my grandfather. Premananda Dasgupta was very close to him. We share the same initials, which is definitely something I'm proud of. My sister also has the same initials, at least before marriage, she had the same initials. I was extremely close to him, and I have fond memories of him. Not, if not clear, but definitely I remember enjoying being with him as a his grandson. It was a fun time. And then one morning, although I knew about it and it wasn't a complete surprise to me. I knew it was going to happen. I knew about the wheels that had been set in motion. But one morning, he left. He left with my uh, uncle, my father's younger brother. He left with him to go and live in Kathmandu at that time in Nepal. Then he later moved to Patna, then he later moved to Kolkata. And during my first year of MBBS, I was in a way reunited with him. I spent the first month uh, at my uncle's place, and there were single beds, in one room. So I got to spend some more time with my grandfather, and I was there with him when he passed away. So that does give closure. Um, Although I wish he was still alive, but that entire arc of being so close to a person in the first few years of my life, and to watch him leave, which felt sudden to me, although it wasn't sudden, and then growing up largely without him being a part of my life. There were occasional visits, but they were few and far between. And then getting reunited for a brief time, not being able to fully embrace the opportunity. I could have, done my entire MBBS from Toliganj, but I didn't. I moved out due to my own uh, social inadequacies through no fault of my uncle's family. It was completely my call that I wanted to stay away. And then a health emergency where I met my grandfather again and we tried our best, but he didn't make it. I was, I think, in third year MBBS at that time. I was not a doctor then. What this entire experience tells me about is that people who you're really close to, who you don't think will you'll be living away from, you do end up living away from. And I till this morning, I never thought about the emotional impact one incident has had on my life. But probably it has. Again, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I think my inability in many ways to be a fully functional social person is because of this one incident of my life. I don't think it's just this. There are other things also that were not perfectly ideal. For example, in kindergarten, I think we were asked to write a paragraph. It wasn't an essay. We used to write a paragraph, and the title was "My Best Friend." And at that time, one felt that. Um, so I told Sautik Pramanik that he was my best friend, and he said his best friend was someone else, which I think Kunal Thakur. I'm not sure, but yeah. So these things I remember quite clearly. I told him, Sautik, you're my best friend, and so we had to find out about the best friend and write about it. And Sautik said, but my best friend is Kunal. So that was a blow. I've still not recovered from it. It's been more than 30 years. I've still not recovered from it. Then there were other people who regarded me as their best friend. I think Prithviraj regarded me as Prithviraj Ghosh. He regarded me as his best friend. I didn't regard him as mine. Pallav Mondal. These are people I was very close to throughout my school life. I think um, largely through large sections of school life. Sautik Pramanik, Pallav Mondal, Anirban Sanyal, Abhishek Roy, Ronak Sahu, Manish Sarkar, Aritra Majumdar, Shuman Vishwas, Abhishek Sarkar, Shubhajit Dasgupta, Nikhil Kumar Das. These were people I was very, very fond of. I'm not in touch with them at all, apart from Ronak. All of them have really um, sort of got busy with their own lives. I'm busy with my own. But this sense of accepting and expecting people to just disappear and not be in touch with them, I think it stems from my experience with my paternal grandfather, Bhai as I called him. And life has sort of come full circle. My niece calls my father Dada, which again I think has something to do with me calling my grandfather Bhai. Maybe there was some thing there which I have never really explored in great emotional detail. But I don't know why I used to call my grandfather Bhai. I just did. And my sister used to call him Bhai also. And my niece calls my father Dada. Again, I don't know why. It's just what children do, I suppose. You don't really argue with them or try to teach them logic. Um, so my father also has told me many times about his childhood, where he largely lived away from his parents and he used to visit them during school holidays. He used to live with his uncles. You know, my grandfather's older brother and elder brother lived in the same house, and my father grew up in that house, a house that I visited a number of times during my childhood. And the house probably my father mostly grew up in. He used to show me all the different houses he grew up in Asansol, which was used to be a very fun uh, trip for me. You know, places in Indian Lodge, places in Burnpur, places in Chitra. It used to be quite fun for me. Um, and although I haven't obviously seen my father's childhood, I do have mental imagery of what might have been happening when my father was growing up. But now I think of it, him growing up largely away from his parents may have been something that has passed on to me in some ways. I don't know. I grew up with my parents till I was 18. The first time I moved out was when I was, I think, 15. I know I said I grew up with my parents till I was 18 because I briefly moved out and then I came back. When I moved out, I went to Delhi first, and my experience in Delhi was quite interesting. I remember uh, my cousin Riju Shubham Chatterjee. He accompanied me to the station inside Rajdhani Express, and Rajdhani Express only is stationary in the railway station in Asansol for about a minute. So he just entered and he just left. He ran out. I remember him rushing out, and then he moved to Pune and eventually to Mumbai, and he has really established himself in Maharashtra. I never managed to move out of West Bengal at that time. I went to Delhi. I really liked it there. Then I went to another place where I didn't like it as much, and I came back to Asansol and I lived in West Bengal till about 18th December or 16th December. That's when I took the flight from Kolkata airport and came to the United Kingdom about almost 20 years. In the interim, I have visited different parts of the world, including UK twice, but I've never lived anywhere else, and now I am. And when I left home in 2006, I didn't expect to leave for 2 months or 3 months, whatever duration I was away. I expected to have left for like permanently, and I would just be visiting occasionally. Even when I left in 2008 for Kolkata, I figured that I would get the opportunity to choose where I would live the rest of my life. And obviously, Asansol was one of the possibilities because um, a doctor can choose where he wants to treat patients. And I did spend 6 years in Asansol after post graduation. And if I had been more successful, perhaps I would not have considered leaving Asansol. I don't know. But again, I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to work in the National Health Service. It's a dream come true for me. And I don't want my personal insecurities or social inadequacies to get in the way of my professional life, which I hope it will. It will not, and I think I have enough perspective over 35 years to really prevent it from happening. I just focus on the task ahead and get cracking without really over analyzing or overthinking anything. So yeah, that's a little bit of I allowed you to enter my mind because you are not. I'm not seeing any comments, but now have had a brief view of what goes on in my mind. When my grandfather left, I remember walking past Piali stores once and thinking, as a child would, I suppose. I don't know if it was a normal thought or not. I remember thinking that just like in movies, where they cut away to a different location and then they show what's happening in that location, I wanted to be able to see what my grandfather how he was living in Kathmandu. I've never been to Kathmandu, it's one of my biggest regrets, but I wanted to see what his life was like in Kathmandu. But obviously, in real life, there is no cutting away, and in those days, there was no video call or even internet at that time. It didn't exist. But today it exists. So today, people who I have left behind in India, I remember one of the people who greeted me here asked me in those terms, "Who did you leave behind?" Which, it sounds a little heavy emotionally. I left people behind. But he meant it in the best possible way. So now with the advent of internet and connectivity and live streaming, now you can people who I have left behind can see me and I can see them if they want to indulge in a video call. It's just extremely affordable. It doesn't break the bank, and with high-speed internet almost everywhere, we can almost have a cinematic experience where we are able to see what our loved ones are going through, even when they are far, far away. I've never worked outside my home state. Hello, bro. Finally, I got a comment. Hello. So I've never lived outside my home state, but not only did I leave my hometown, my home district, my home state, my home country, I left my home continent and I'm now in a different continent. Also, Guru Rama is one of those people who really inspired me because when he left for Maharashtra, I think in 2005, was it? I think he left in 2005 or 4. When he left for Maharashtra and he was able to establish his life. I don't know how old he was at that time. I, I would like to imagine he would be older than my age now. Maybe he was in his 40s, I'm in my 30s. But when I saw him at that time, how he had established his life there, it really gave me a lot. That is one of the things I thought about when I moved here. That he established himself in a new place after having married and a son. He was able to do that at that stage of his life. I certainly can't do it at this stage of my life, and I don't have those family ties. So yeah, he's always been an inspiration to me in more ways than one, although I rarely admit that. I hope you could hear it. I hope I'm audible. So yeah, I hope you, when you watch this entire thing again, if I'm audible, I really hope I was audible throughout this, then you will have a unfiltered view of what goes through my mind um, when I have time to think. So with that, I think I'll end the chat. And my sister, my Marathi cousin, my uncle, my aunt, all of them have inspired me to the extent that one can really establish themselves in an alien region, if that's the right word, in an unfamiliar region. My parents, of course, have done that before I was born, so I really didn't see them doing it, but they did it also. And now I guess it's my turn. So I learn how to use this. Did I say learn? I'm very proficient at using this. And we'll see how it goes. I'll report back to you. So thank you for watching this. Bye bye. Take care.